let's finish with a bit of Plunket Shield. We have wins for Otago and Wellington. Northern Districts had a draw with Auckland. So that takes Wellington top of the table. They go ahead of Northern Districts. I think we've got 2 games to play. And Otago's win was their first win of the season, so they go ahead of Auckland. Auckland is bottom of the table. A lot of dudes scored runs, and a lot of spinners took wickets. So that's another reinforcement of our observation that late in the summer, Aotearoa gets a bit spinny. It's not just like, oh, they're playing at Bay Oval. Oh, they're playing at Seddon Park. Oh, they're playing at Eden Park out at Oval. So that's more conducive with a bit of spin. No, it's everywhere. Everywhere in Aotearoa at this time of year, as long as it hasn't been a wet summer, it gets very spinny. So this week in Auckland, there was a Jeet Raval, 8 wickets in the match. 3 wickets in the first innings, 5 wickets in the second innings. Twice, Jeet Raval bowled an Auckland batter around the legs with his leggies. Another leggy, Adi Ashok, 6 wickets in the first innings there. And then we go to Rangiora, where Wellington defeated Canterbury in the Canterbury region. Ripon and McConchy took a couple wickets in the first innings. Then it was actually Liam Dudding who took 4 wickets in the second innings, and Wellington didn't even use a spinner in that game. But later on in the game, Peter Younghusband took 4 wickets to wrap up the tail to seal the win, and Logan Van Beek took a fifer. Otago's win over Central Districts in Alexandra, they had Dale Phillips took a couple wickets. Jaden Lennox took fifer and finished with 6 wickets in the match. We had Central Districts using 3 spinners, Angus Shaw, Brad Schmullian as well, and then Dean Foxcroft. 4 wickets to ensure victory for Otago over Central Districts. So there's the straight-up spinners like Adi Ashok, Jaden Lennox, Peter Younghusband, but then you've also got the part-timers, Jeet Raval, Henry Cooper bowled spin as well. Northern Districts also had Rohit Gulati, the lefty. He was busy. Auckland, a bunch of spinners. Ashok, Dalport, Sid Dixit, and William O'Donnell all bowled spin overs. Canterbury, they lose Ish Sodhi to the Black Caps. They've still got 3 spinners, Ripon, McConchy, and Matt Boyle. And Wellington had Younghusband and Jesse Tashkoff bowling spin. Otago, Foxcroft, Phillips, Central Districts, Lennox, Shaw, Schmullian. Spin is a major factor in the Plunket Shield at this time of year. But you also had seamers taking wickets, and the leading wicket takers, Logan Van Beek, Peter Younghusband, Jared Mackay, Tugaline, Hampton, Dudding, Muller, McKenzie, Ray, they're all seamers. So seamers are still busy in the Plunket Shield. Shout out to Logan Van Beek. He's got the most wickets at an average of 23. So great season for Logan Van Beek with the ball. Still watching this battle at the top of the run scorer charts. We got Nick Kelly versus Reece Muriu. So Kelly's got 735 runs, 4 centuries, 150. Reece Muriu has 687 runs, averaging 85, 2 centuries, which one was a double century and 3 50s. Here is one of my little trivia. I was about to say trick question, but that gives it away. Who is the leading run scorer for Central Districts?
The Central Districts. Is it too obvious to say? You said almost trick question, so it's probably too obvious to say Tom Bruce. Might be old mate Clarkson at this point. He's got a couple hundreds in a row, doesn't he?
Josh Clarkson does have 200s in back-to-back games, and he is tied for the most centuries for Central Districts this season on 2. But it's not Josh Clarkson.
And it's not Tom Bruce?
It's definitely not Tom Bruce.
Dane Cleaver.
It is Dane Cleaver. He has 611 runs. So he is one of 3 batters with over 600 runs, averaging 122, 2 centuries, 4 50s. Let me get a little form check for Dane Cleaver. Last 2 games of Plunket Shield, 115, 83, 98. That's Dane Cleaver. He's doing well in the Plunket Shield. We got to go down to Canterbury because they also have a little funky situation there. If I was to list these scores, I want you to guess which batter is responsible for these scores. 46 not out, 103. This is the last 5 games they've played. Their last 5 games of cricket. 46 not out, 103 not out, 52, 52, 70, 171 not out.
Well, I can do that one because I know the 171 not out was in almost chasing down 500 to win in the 4th innings for Canterbury. That'll be Mr. Henry Nicholls.
That is the one and only Henry Nicholls, the legend of New Zealand cricket, who, let's get him back in the Black Caps.
Hey.
I mean, seriously, like...
If he hadn't just been dropped by the Black Caps, that amount of runs, that consistency of scoring should have him back in the Black Caps.
He spent most of the summer injured. So he got dropped. He did tour Sri Lanka. But then he came back and he was injured. So he has been out injured, but I'm going to say he didn't get dropped. I'm going to say he's come back from injury with, a lot of runs for Henry Nicholls. And in the Plunket Shield, 2 centuries, 2 50s in 5 innings.
Decent.
Yeah, it's not quite Chad Bowes, though, who just hit another century and has a Plunket Shield strike rate of 105 in 6 innings. And he hit a double century for Canterbury in the Ford Trophy with a strike rate over 100 as well. So Chad Bowes just loves to whack it. Someone I am tracking is Cameron Paul for Canterbury. He's now played 3 Plunket Shield games and he's got 12 wickets, averaging 25. Didn't play any Ford Trophy, I don't believe. He's 20 years old, same Darfield club as Zach Folks. And no, he did play 1 Ford Trophy game, but he's in his 3 Ford Trophy games, he's got 5 wickets, averaging 14.8. 3 Plunket Shield games, he's got 12 wickets, averaging 25. 20 years old. Next up, young Seamer from Canterbury, who has played Plunket Shield and Ford Trophy, unlike Matt Rowe, who was we were talking a lot about heading into the season because he had a contract. But Cameron Paul is doing more in domestic cricket right now. So you got to learn about Cameron Paul. You got any questions or hot pockets you want to hit?
Well, while we're talking about Black Caps recalls, maybe Jeet Raval ought to be in that conversation as well. If he's suddenly wicket taking leg spinner, that stuff, like those were some good highlights. That's some good entertainment watching Jeet Raval ripping around. I also noticed the clip of was it Michael Ray, last wicket to fall for Canterbury, like I think like 18, 17 runs short or something like that from chasing down 500, and he was a statue for like 10 full seconds. He didn't move. He was in disbelief that I think did he chop it on, or it had bowled off his pads or something like that, and it was final wicket with Henry Nicholls 171 not out at the other end. He could have added to that, but yeah, some good stuff happening. That was a great round of Plunket Shield cricket, that one.
I mean, respectfully to Michael Ray, he definitely didn't chop it on. Well, it didn't look like he chopped it on. It didn't look like it hit his pad. It looked like it went straight
Just
through.
clean.
Yeah.
It's almost worse.
Um, Jet Raval, not only did he take 8 wickets in the match, celebrations, and also it was hard to actually dissect what he was saying to Eddie Ashok. But let's just say he had some words for Eddie Ashok. Now, I think they are both suburbs New Lynn cricketers in Auckland. So I don't think it was like full of hatred. I don't think many Kiwi cricketers are going to say stuff full of hatred in that situation, but he did say some stuff very loud and very directly to Ashok when he dismissed him, caught him bowled. And that's Jet Raval, who's averaging 55 with the bat and 8 with the ball.
Those are some numbers.
That's 8.
That's Stephen Adams plus
ball.
Alperin's saying good numbers.
And he has bowled in 3 innings. So it's not like he just bowled in the one innings, got the 5-3, obviously bowled in both innings against Auckland, but he's bowled 3 innings, 26 overs, 8 wickets at 2.4 RPO. So he's been very economical for Northern Districts as well. Henry Cooper hit a massive century. Barrett Popley got some runs for Northern Districts against Auckland. Obviously, they're playing at Eden Park Outer Oval, so the runs were to be had in that game because Cam Fletcher got a big old century as well, 132 not out. And Dixit got 74. Simon King got 65 for Auckland as well. What else do we have? What else do I want to say? Sam Mycock, he's someone to watch out for. He's got 2 50s in 6 innings for Wellington. Another all-rounder to watch out for. Or 2. Shout out to Peter Younghusband because he is averaging 28 with the bat and 31 with the ball. So he's having a very solid all-round season for Wellington. And obviously Logan Van Beek, also a fantastic all-rounder, averaging 25 with the bat, 23 with the ball. A deep cut that I have been tracking all summer long is Muhammad Abbas. Now, his batting hasn't been fantastic in the Plunket Shield. He's got 150 in 12 innings, but lefty seamer, let me check how often he's been bowling. So he's a lefty seamer for Wellington with a first-class batting average of 37, one-day batting average of 35, and he is bowled in 7 consecutive games and 9 consecutive innings. In the Plunket Shield, he's got 6 wickets, averaging 17. Now, again, this is a lefty seamer who is an awesome batter. And that's a very interesting skill set for New Zealand cricket to have an emerging all-rounder who bowls lefty seam and is pretty efficient with his lefty seam this summer. And that will probably wrap up our Plunket Shield. Next round of games starts on Friday. Northern Districts versus Wellington, top of the table battle. Canterbury hosting CD, Otago hosting Auckland. Wellington is hosting that game against Northern Districts. So that'll be very fun to watch out for. Obviously, Bevan Jacobs now in the IPL, so he wraps up his debut Plunket Shield season with 476 runs, averaging 59, 1 century, 3 50s. That is the T20 superstar, who's averaging 49 in his first season of Plunket Shield batting. Best youngsters, obviously, Reece Mariu, competing for the leading run scorer spot. Then we got Bevan Jacobs, who is currently 5th for runs, knowing that he probably won't bat again. Max Chu, Curtis Heafy, Thorne Parks has also got 350s, averaging 36 this season. Like what he's doing in the middle order for Otago. Best young bowlers. There's not many. Ashok, averaging 31 with his 15 wickets. Matt Fisher's still got a great 14 wickets, averaging 17.7, but he hasn't played recently. But he was very efficient earlier in the season. And Christian Clark still takes wickets, 13 wickets, but he's averaging 41. And then you get to Cameron Paul. So shout out to Cameron Paul. Watch out for Cameron Paul. But it's good to see who's the best spinner. It's Peter Younghusband, then it's Adi Ashok. So Ashok's doing some good stuff with his leggies for Auckland.